Welcome to Positive Business Action, the podcast where we explore real strategies, real stories, and real solutions to help you grow a stronger, more profitable business. Each episode, we break down practical ideas that you can actually use, from marketing and guest experience to operations, team culture, and long-term growth. Whether you run a farm, manage an attraction, or just love the business side of making memories for guests, you're in the right place. Let's jump right in.
Well, welcome to Positive Business Action Podcast. And today we have Randy White with us. And Randy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself for the viewers that may not know who you are or what you do?
Okay, I'm with the White Hutchinson Leisure and Learning Group. We're actually based here in Kansas City. I've been working in what we call the location-based entertainment industry for 37 years. And originally, I was involved with bowling and go-karts and that type of stuff. And 31 years ago, two brothers, Larry and Doug, who are up in Massachusetts, called me, and they had a dairy farm with their father, and they had started this little petting zoo that wasn't probably bigger than 3 times the size of my office. And they said, the dairy business isn't very good. We're wondering if we can make a business out of this. So we went up, did some research and so forth, and came up with, yes, it'll work. It became Davis Discovery Farm. They've grown over the years. I've visited with them every year since. It's basically Davis Farmland Discovery Farm. It's basically a children's discovery farm, and most of their market is 10 and under. They operate from April to through October, and then a few years later, they started across the road. They started their Mega Maze, and I've worked with them on that. And that's how I stumbled into this crazy industry.
That's right. They were one of the originals, and we stumbled across you at NAFTMA, of course, and now you are a regular at NAFTMA, and we're certainly glad to have you on here. And is it okay? We're going to probably share the link so people can sign up for your newsletter. That's
Absolutely.
Is that okay? All right. That's one of my must reads, Randy, because what I like is, and I've always been like this. I like the cross-pollination, right? You have been in these other industries, and for so long, I feel like agritourism was a little stuck in petting zoos, a little stuck in a wagon ride to the pumpkin patch, and I feel like you just bring that different viewpoint. So I'm curious, having been in agritourism this long, what have you seen in these changes? And I feel like the world's accelerating, but I'm going to let you take it from there. What do you think's going on out there in agritourism that you've seen?
Well, it's you really have to look at the whole world of entertainment to understand what's going on. And fortunately, we have the opportunity to do that with all the traditional type of entertainment projects we work with, who I think move faster than agritourism does, because, the fall festival pumpkin patch model, it works. It's at least worked for many years. I even question now whether it needs to be changed. Example, in Kansas City, we have a population in the metropolitan area, about 2 million people. We have 15 of these things going on in the fall. There gets to be the point where it gets saturated, and you got to differentiate. And what I see is a lot of that little hints of differentiation occurring where people are developing other types of festivals. They're doing year-round stuff. It's moving in that direction.
Gotcha.
So with the changes in direction and everything, how would you balance the classical attractions that you could have, whereas there are so many new things that could be there? If you still want to have that same feel that their local base industry did, how do they keep that feel while expanding on it?
Without losing the nostalgia.
Right.
I think it's not a question of just attractions. I think it's a question of looking at what's happening with demographics, and there's other markets that aren't fully being tapped. The birth rate is down dramatically. 2007 is the key year of the birth rate. Since then, the birth rate's been falling every year. We have 8 million less children now than we would have if the birth rate had stayed the same. And while this is happening, the percentage of families with children is decreasing. The big opportunity I see out there is you can keep the traditional stuff, but start going adult centric. That's the biggest market. That's the totally untapped market. All you got to do is look at what the wineries are doing. It's incredible. And they go after that market. So there's lots of opportunity out there besides just plugging in more attractions and keeping kind of the same old model. You can have other events as well to start tapping into that market.
Yeah, it certainly is the farm way. I want the family with kids, and I really want preschoolers, and I don't want anybody older than that. And right, I mean, that's kind of the classic mindset. But we added a winery here, right? To try to bridge us into those things. Our flower festivals, it is wildly not a child demographic for for lavender, for sunflowers, and they want liquor.
Yep.
I mean, they want alcohol, and the amazing thing is they all want it, and we don't have any drunks. Can you explain that?
Well, it's real simple. Chuck E. Cheese has always had alcohol. I don't know if you know that. They've always had beer and wine. It's buried way down the menu. You're dealing with responsible people. We aren't offering bars as such. I don't see any problem with alcohol. In fact, you really need it today if you want to attract the family. Something else has changed with the family, though, and that's the parents and way they look at family time. The parents are no longer interested in going somewhere that's just kids-centric and sitting there and watching the kids. They want to go somewhere that works for them and drag the kids along.
Yeah. So what are some of your examples of that you've seen outside in other industries where maybe they're doing it a little better or a little first in this almost parent with kid? But I mean, who's doing it really well out there that you like their approach?
You mean parent with kid or adult-centric?
Adult-centric, but I could bring my kids.
Okay.
Who are some examples of that people could check out?
Well, there's a whole evolving industry called social gaming entertainment, and they have duck pin bowling, electronic darts and all, and they have bar, and it's really set up to be adult-centric. But during the day, parents will come with the kids. Let's just look at Dave & Buster's. I'm sure everybody's probably been to a Dave & Buster's. There's not a single kids game in Dave & Buster's. It's 100% adult designed. And guess what? 30% of their attendance is families with kids. What happens is if you target the adults, you still get the families. If you target the families with kids, that's a turn off to most adults, couples, younger people, singles.
Right. That's gonna prevent you from the 20s to 30s out on a date kind of night.
Right.
If you're marketing as a kiddie destination.
Right. And also the adults have the highest per capita spending.
Yeah.
They're buying Cokes, they're buying drinks, they're buying cider, they're buying all these, hard cider, whatever you're offering at the winery.
Signature
So it's a very cocktails. Yeah, absolutely. Now, what's really interesting though is the drinking rate is going down, and more people are they call it zebra striping, where they don't want to get drunk, so they go out and have a drink, but say it's a cocktail. But for the next drink, they switch to a mocktail. So they're controlling their alcoholic intake because they don't want a headache the next day. They don't want all these things. So you got to be real careful. If you offer alcoholic drinks, you have to offer the non-alcoholic versions. And that isn't a Coke. You want to do the same thing so you get a high margin. The beer, there's all kind of incredible non-alcoholic beer. In fact, Athletic is the number one, their non-alcoholic beer. They're the number one selling beer at Whole Foods. And
which
it's
is
the
the
same
high
price.
margin client, right? It's the that's the high margin adult grocery store, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. So now you often reference the stages of entertainment, right? That there are these levels of all the way up to transformative experience. Can you kind of outline that? Because I know I'm more familiar maybe than most, but can you just kind of outline that hierarchy of experience, and then like where are things going, and maybe where do you think the agritourism industry is?
Okay, I call it the levels of value-added agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
We all know commodities. That's zero. The next level is products. Okay. Following that, we go to services. Following that, we go to experiences. We can take 5 acres of corn and sell it as a commodity, or we can charge people $10 to run through it as a maze. It's kind of amazing to me. But where people are going now, they're looking for transformative experiences. Those are life-changing experiences that change in some way. People go to a gym, they improve themselves physically. They get education or knowledge. That changes you permanently, or you can have your values changed. That's the economy we're going into. In fact, a book just came out, Joe Pine, who wrote The Experience Economy, and he was
Yes.
ahead of the time telling us what was going to happen. He just came out with the transformative economy. He says goods, services, and even memorable experiences are no longer enough to attract and keep your customers. You need to blend in transformative experiences.
So in what way would, say, a local business at least aim to be something like that, to transform someone in such a way that they want to come back?
Well,
So
first of all, a lot of farms offer workshops and classes and things like that. Let's talk about the fall festival. If we're having a fall festival, or let's say we have a you pick apple experience, why don't we let people sample the apples before they go in the field and educate them a little about the history and the taste profile of the apples? That would be a transformative experience. You can layer it on top of your normal experience. You can have tastings. You can do all these things. One client we work for runs a festival, but at the same time, as an add-on, they have a cocktail class that's always sold out. And they use herbs that they grew. So you can layer all these things. And that's what people are looking for. They're moving in this direction. The bulk of your market is college-educated households. They account actually for 3/4 of all fees and emissions to all different types of entertainment facilities, which includes agritourism. And they're the most focused because they've been to college on knowledge and improving themselves. This is what customers are looking for.
Yeah. So just to follow up on Ruben's question there, if I'm distilling it back down, right? You take the commodity apple, the experience is or the experience it might be picking the apples, but the transformation comes in that education piece where we're educating you about the apple before you go have the experience, instead of just, we used to be able to just rely on pick your own because people did it because it was cheaper and I could get more bushels to go home and make applesauce. But now it's really that we should just overcharge them for a half peck of apples after we give them a class about how to taste them.
But we can go further. We can hold a apple pie cooking class where people go out in the field and pick the apples, then bring them in, and we teach them how to make an apple pie or apple sauce or apple butter.
Right. So even I think that transformative piece is where I would think people are going to want to do a little brainstorming, right? Because wine is already a value-added product, right? We are taking our blueberries and we've turned them into wine, right? That's a value-added product. The tasting is kind of an experience, but then creating the wine-based cocktails at a nice party is a transformative experience, right?
Yeah. And let me tell you, transformative experiences have the highest profit margin. Think about it. Let's have a class of 12 people to make something, and we charge them $50 a piece. It probably costs us a couple bucks for the product. We have one person as labor. Think about the type of profit margin you achieve with that versus sending somebody out just to pick an apple.
That's right. Well, and I always say in marketing, it's so hard to convince someone to do anything that once you have them convinced, you want to run them to the highest dollar possible during that one convincing visit. Because as you mentioned, there's so much to do. You never know when they're going to come back or if they remember to come back. So you got to push them into that after you make that convincing talk.
Yeah, there's just a lot of add-ons you can have after your basic admission.
Yeah, interesting. I'm kind of curious. I always think of you as like I don't know how much you eat out, but it must be a lot because you are always talking about food service. And I mean, we are a long way from kettle corn and weenie hot dogs. in the lean-to shed at a farm, right? I mean, there's been a transformation in food projects.
Right. And your customers are going to all these restaurants and they're having all these food experiences, so they're coming with certain higher elevated expectations now.
Right. And what has been is there an easy path for farms to at least dip their toe in higher quality? I mean, for us, it was certainly a couple of years ago, we just took a look at our stuff and said, man, this is just the Sam's Club stuff that we're cooking off, right? If we're going to do a hot dog, we're doing a quarter pound German, hot dog. If we're going to do a burger, it's going to be on a grill, you can smoke, if it's a chicken tender, it's going to have chicken in it, not just tender. Whatever the rest of that stuff is. What are some quick wins maybe out there?
Well,
because I'm not a chef, and I know I'm intimidated by some of the fancy food offerings.
Well, it's not that complicated. Where the people are going now, in fact, 70% of young adults are food adventurers. We use that term instead of foodie because the 70% they all have foodie behaviors. Just a bunch of them, especially Gen Z, they aren't interested in posting it on Instagram. And I probably fall in that category because I go out, but I don't take pictures and post it on Instagram. And one of the things that's happening now are people are looking for discovery and adventure in the food. So let's take your nice $12 hamburger and let's give it some global influence. Let's do something with it so it's a Mexican burger or it's Thai on top of it. The best way is to take something people are comfortable with, a common food, and elevate it globally with different flavors. You can do it with pizza. You can do it with almost anything, or you can do something like what they call fusion now, global fusion,
right,
which is one of the trends. You can have a Korean Mexican taco.
Right.
This is the type of stuff people are experiencing now.
Like
even a place like Panera Bread, if you've been to it, you look at the different flavor profiles they're presenting to people.
Yes.
So it's got to be quality, but you got to elevate the taste profile, the flavor profile.
That's right. I love all of the words they've come up for it with swicy, swalty, swoky, right? Spice, all of those mishmash fusion.
Well, yeah, there's the hot honey, that jazzes up a pizza.
Yes, it does jazz up a pizza. Right. So really think about it. So you're saying take that basic food, take that hot dog and add some kimchi, right? Just do something crisscross that isn't gonna foul up my kitchen.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you see that place in Orlando? They were selling sushi burgers.
Yeah.
It was packed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you keep the kind of the generic common version. Because some people don't go for the elevated, but you also have the elevated. So you take your basic foods and come up with 2 or 3 flavor profiles for your pizza, 2 or 3 for your burgers, to jazz them up, and you can raise the price.
That's right. Flavor profile. I like
that.
That.
And stop selling $4 hot dogs, for goodness sakes. There's no real profit. Go to $12 burgers or $14, depending where you are and what's happening with the price of beef, and make some money. And stop selling, the little boxes of candy that you can buy anywhere.
Gotcha.
There's no margin in it.
I think that's an interesting take on it, particularly the last part, that you can buy anywhere, right? What can I get here? And we're guilty of it. We sell candy bars, but maybe we're just lazy. Maybe we just haven't looked around enough. What can we sell that you cannot buy anywhere, or I can only get at my trip to the farm?
You're right. Instead of candy bars, homemade fudge. A lot of farms sell fudge. Don't offer the candy bars for $2. Offer the fudge for $5 or whatever it is. The other thing is you should develop a signature food, something you're really known for. And I think one of the best examples is the Renaissance Festival with their giant turkey legs. I mean, that's now when you buy one of these discount things for emissions, they package the turkey leg with it. It's so well known. People go to the Renaissance Festival just for the turkey leg.
Yeah.
So develop some signature food you're known for that's, somewhat unique.
Yeah. signature food, signature drink, right? All of those things. Now, what I want to know where you come down on shock shakes and the donut on top with a brownie stuck in it and 4 oranges and
people
I hear
love it.
People, they take a picture and throw it away.
Yep.
And I guess it doesn't matter because you made your money, but
you made
right?
your money. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Lamar.
You need to go to a typical farm festival, where they call the things agriculture festival, and the crazy foods they sell.
Yes.
People are looking for a unique experience. They're looking for adventure and discovery, and that's adventure and discovery.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's always the prevalence of can you eat this hot wing, right? Can you eat this? Am I dared to have the deep fried butter?
Right.
Am I gonna get fired up by that? Go for it.
You don't have to go to that extreme, but I'm just using that, as an example.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
yeah. And by the way, you're not competing with McDonald's.
right.
7-Eleven, you don't want to gouge them like some of the theme parks do, but make your margin, make your profit.
That's right.
Right. So how do we transfer into, okay, we want to make a new food item or drink item to bring in the customers. Now, how do you turn that food item and base it into your value for the customer? How do we get ourselves promoting it so that it's our signature thing?
Well, you can market it until people discover it. My suggestion is, part of the problem is just about every farmer out there is not his customer. And,
that part's true.
And what you need to do is get some young adults together and start brainstorming and using them to help you understand where the food is and what's interesting, and have them do some tastings. You develop something, you have tastings. I've worked with a lot of restaurant startups, and once they develop a menu, they go in a food lab and get a group together, and we taste everything, and we get typical customers to try it out.
Yeah. Well, and that does take a measure of humility, right?
Yeah.
I think it's so important for really any business person to hear is that you are almost never your customer. I mean, I advertise on radio stations I don't listen to, right? And I like the stuff I like, and I'm not the right person, right?
Yeah.
I'm not the 20s or 30s person
Yep.
anymore. Not anymore.
And the other problem with farmers, like I tell all my clients straight to the face this, I say, you're a farmer. You're very very price conscious. You're not the customer.
Yeah. Well, and we grow commodities, right? We're coming from a background of growing commodities, and now we got to make this transition to transformative experience.
I got to tell you, I don't think I've ever gone to a farm. I've been to like 70 or 80 of them, where I haven't got them to raise their price, and they're really reluctant. I have to fight with them, and we raise all kind of prices. And I check with them the next year. I say, how did it go? Oh, nobody complained.
That's right. You and I are on the same team, right? We did that pricing strategy boot camp. My gosh, coming out of the pandemic or something. And it was unbelievable. I'm still people charging $8 admission, we try to keep it affordable for somebody to get a $2 hot dog. Oh my gosh.
I know.
It takes it's going to take evangelism, Randy. We're out there doing it.
It's like they got to rewire their brain almost.
We do. But then you go back and nitrogen's up, 50% of the cost per acre. And you're thinking, I just got to drive down, it's funny. We just operate in these two kind of wildly different worlds.
And speaking of switching gears and thinking, I know might be hard for some farmers, but how important would you say it is to have a big social media presence surrounding all it? Does that help, or is it kind of just a fad? What do you think?
The social media is the only way you can market anymore, and you got to be on most of the platforms. And a big problem right now is it's all within the last few months. People don't go to social media to find new places. You know what they're going? They're going into their AI chatbots and say, I'd like an interesting place to go this weekend. And they're letting AI make the selection. And unfortunately, I've noticed so many farm websites don't have all the information. Suppose I'm a family and I want to go somewhere where my 7-year-old can go to a petting experience, And they also sell beer because I'm not interested in going anywhere that doesn't have a dad pacifier. Well, if your website doesn't have all that's what we call it. If your website doesn't have all that information, the AI chatbot's just going to skip it over. You're not even going to come up.
That's right. So yeah, we should probably jump into an AI chatbot and ask it the 10 things that our clients, based on this website, should be asking, and how could we make it easier for you to go find? Right, we probably have to use AI to defeat AI. Is our only chance left, Randy?
Yeah. But people want to know everything. Do you have a dog policy? Are you got to have all this information because people are getting real particular on what they're looking for. And if you don't have the information there, you're not going to be found or you're not going to be considered an option.
Yeah. So that's really interesting when that's making me think when you're saying, right, the key is to have the information so that somebody could have an extraordinarily particular request in a prompt by age of kid, by age of whatever. And, your old school FAQs just aren't going to let you cover that kind of ground. It's almost like you have to have these extra pages on the site that are just dedicated to answering, like just pounding out like all of these questions for 7-year-old, 8-year-old, blah, 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 blah. And they don't even have to be all that visible because a chatbot can find anything, right?
Well, it can't be too deep in the website, and it doesn't have to say 7-year-old. But if you have a petting zoo, make sure you mention you have a petting zoo, and at least basic price points, all these things is called AI-friendly scraping is what you got to have.
Gotcha.
I wrote an article about it in the newsletter a month or two ago.
There we go. That's right. So get on the newsletter. That's one of my favorites. And we're gonna be right back with more from Randy White. We're just gonna take a quick break.
All right.
This episode is sponsored by the Hen House Hustle, and trust me, it's exactly what your guests are looking for. Fun, memorable, and built to keep people coming back. Learn more at thehenhousehustle.com. And now back to the show. Today's episode is brought to you by the Animal Racers. Ready to add a big thrill to your park? Find out how at animalracers.com. And now, back to the show. This episode is sponsored by the Super Mega Ride and Slide. Guests go down, profits go up. If you're looking to create an unforgettable experience that keeps people coming back and drives serious revenue while you're at it, this might be exactly what your business needs. For more information, go to supermegarideandslide.com. And now back to the show.
And we're back with Randy White, Hugh.
Well, I am curious. I remember reading a lot of your stuff. I was probably in one of your seminars where you talked about people cocooning themselves. Basically, they leave for work, open a garage door, they drive to work, they come home from work, close the garage door, never leave their house again because, hey, man, we got Uber, we got Amazon, I got a ginormous television, we got Netflix, we can just eat, right? I can just literally never leave my house. And we're in the location-based entertainment business. How are we supposed to compete with that?
Well, it's real simple. They can't have the type experiences we offer. And people still are looking for experiences. And there's been an interesting trend since the pandemic. People more and more are looking for social experiences, real in-life social experiences. There's kind of a movement away from the digital world, especially with the younger adults, the Gen Zs. So, they're looking for nature. They're looking for authenticity, all the things we offer on farms.
Yes. And you're in the Kansas City area. It always makes me think of Chicken and Pickle out your way. That's one of your places. If you want to just kind of fill people in on that, their take on how they're breaking people out of their hermit guilt.
Well, it's a venue. They have great restaurant with rotisserie chicken and things. They have pickleball indoors and outdoors, but the pickleball is a bit of a draw, but they also have a lot of social games. They have cornhole and different things. So they've created kind of this social environment where people can come. And especially if you're doing, well, first of all, families are looking for social experiences they can have together where what just not watch the children, but things parents and children can do together. And I look at a lot of the attractions, a lot of farms, and so many of them are kid focused, versus something the adults and children can do together. So they're looking for that. But for adults, they are looking for social experiences. They're looking to meet other people. You could even have a singles night on the farm.
Right, right. The social games is kind of an interesting thing. At Chicken and Pickle, it's almost like they've recreated the backyard. Only my wife would like it better because we don't have to get the house ready. And when we're tired of you, we can leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So social interactions with some boundaries.
Yeah. Look at a lot of the wineries. They're doing this. Besides just, drinking wine, people need games to play together.
Yes. Yes, that's an interesting. Now I'm trying to picture where we should build our games area for the winery guests. Where we can fit that in. I'm thinking, Randy. I'm thinking.
House.
Well, the magic formula right now in traditional entertainment venues is you have games where people take turns, okay, and simultaneously they can enjoy the food and beverage,
right?
And that, playing a social game, we call it not strong competition. That's social. Eating and drinking together is social. So you combine all these things together, and you really have a highly elevated social experience that people enjoy.
Well, I think Ruben said he just did this at Top Golf.
Top Golf.
Yeah,
exactly what it is. You're playing golf, but very low stakes. It's a driving range, and they bring you your drinks and your food right to your lane. It's a perfect combination.
Yeah, they're a wonderful example of that. And interesting enough, the majority of their sales are the food and beverage. No, it's not even the golf.
Interesting. Yeah, so they have so there again, that's your focus, bringing the focus back. There's alcohol, there's food, and it's good. It's good food. Maybe not top notch, but it's it's good. And then you have that interactive. I like what you said there. Games where you take turns. And you have to have as opposed to the dining room is here and the game setup is here, we can bring our 3 appetizers and 6 drinks over to where we're playing the game.
Or even serve them there.
Yeah. Right, just bring them straight there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And axe throwing would certainly fall into this category, I would imagine.
If you set up the right seating arrangement and all so they can have the food and beverage.
That's right. That's right. And you never have to have knives at axe throwing. Just forks and spoons. Oh my goodness. So now I'm curious, Randy, we've been really nice, but what are some absolute faux pas that you have seen either in the family entertainment center kind of world or on farms, and no names, of course, we're not going to, if it's Maze Quest, you can say it, but not if it's anybody. What are some like kind of easy wins where you're like, man, I can't believe they put the soft play like right there and it's ruining the whole indoor entertainment center or go-kart place or whatever. What are some big loses and maybe some quick wins that people could get just by thinking about what we've been discussing?
Well, this is off on a little different tangent, but I've been to too many farms where I'm just instantly horrified the first 5 minutes when I watch their hayride routes, where they drive the hayride right through the people. There's nothing more dangerous than that versus having it segregated and even fenced.
Yes, I agree. And I know Jeff Green would agree. Yeah. I think people are coming around. But I mean, we used to do it in the early 2000s. We just pull right on through, right up to the front door. You could come out and be surprised by my tire, Randy.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many farms I've redesigned that for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So quick win there. Get that hayride safety. What's another big, just like you couldn't believe it when you saw it? Maybe not at a farm even.
There's a lot of places that have farm stores and they do the festivals, fall festival, some of them do it all year. And some of them during the week allow people into part of the festival area for free.
Right.
It's real simple. It's not an experience unless you charge for it.
Right. Right. and you're giving it away for free during the week, right? And probably trying to be nice, trying to be affordable, right? And then on the weekend, you're charging people and they're saying, well, it was free, yesterday on Thursday. Why does it cost me now on Friday?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes they only have certain limited ones open during the week, but they're still telling the public this isn't worth paying for.
Yeah.
Could you kind of concentrate on that for a little bit on the limited time, whether it be a event or drinks? How does a farm capitalize on that to drive people back during the time where maybe one thing isn't limited?
I'm sorry, I don't follow the question exactly.
So like if you have a limited time, let's say drink you're offering, right?
Okay.
How do you rotate things in a way that it keeps people coming back and not just for that specific event? Maybe like during something in your off season.
Well, it depends what you're offering. One of the issues is once they've been to something unique, they're going to move on to find something else unique, which is one of the ways. If a lot of farms, I call them crop-based festivals, but you can have multiple festivals throughout the year to bring them back. You can do the blueberry festival and the apple festival and whatever it is, and the bacon festival.
Pickles.
They'll come back
bacon.
for those type things.
I'd rather have bacon than pickles. So I'm going to go bacon festival. This is a good idea. Write this down, John. It's a good idea.
I got to warn you. I had a client in California do a bacon festival, and it totally backed up the interstate.
Nice.
That sounds like a great problem. Yeah. I can deal with problems like that, Randy. Bacon festival. It's on. Write it down, John. Yes, already done. Already done. Oh, my goodness.
I think the answer to bring them back is have multiple type experiences they can come to.
Yeah. We're trying to figure out, I guess, how to even, is there a pace? Well, like you say, the minute they did the novel thing, then they're on to the next novel thing. But is there a pace at which maybe that's kind of what you're asking, like the drink stays around for 2-3 weeks and then it's out, or can a drink stay around for 6 months and then it's out? Is there any kind of industry standard for keeping that freshened?
Well, you can look at the restaurant industry, but limited time has to be limited time, or it's no longer limited time. So you got to have drop dead, maybe a month. If say you're running your fall festival over 6 or 8 weeks, the other thing you can do is have different themes that change every 2 weeks for the same festival, for the fall festival. I have one client that does that.
Every 2 weeks we got a new theme, even though the
theme
fall
or
festival
something.
is still the same. The attractions are still the same, but now this is
maybe some of the food changes a little. Maybe it's Hawaiian 2 weeks and you're featuring some Hawaiian food or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Smart.
That's probably not the best example, but anyway, it's an example.
Yeah. Interesting. So while everybody likes to talk about trends, Randy, so as we're winding her up, what are you seeing in terms of trends? Can be food. Well, let's do 3. Let's do food trends, drink trends, and then experience trends that are maybe not here right now. Like I feel like we've been talking about stuff people could deploy, right? New menu item. I love the idea of a flavor, pick 2 flavor profiles in addition to your regular burger. Like that's very doable right now. But what do you see over the horizon in like food, drink, and even experiences? One of the ones that's a little crazy to me is I keep seeing these. They're almost like pop-up interactive art exhibits, right? Where it's only meant to last for 3 weeks because that's all they've rented the space for. And then they're going to go to another city and it's these wild, art, lights. It's almost always indoors, almost always night, almost always lights, that kind of stuff. But what do you see over the horizon, food, drink, and experience?
Well, this is a very interesting one. Cabbage. Cabbage is going to be big this year, of all things. And you can do lots of things with slaws.
Yes.
You can, low-cost slaws.
Yeah, well, sure. You can do grandma's pepper slaw, but you can do kimchi slaw, and you can do Thai flavored, and right. So that's kind of into those profiles. Okay. Interesting.
And there's some existing trends you can take advantage of. And all you got to do is walk through a supermarket and look at how many products have added protein.
Yes.
People are going protein crazy. The new mac and cheese just came out with more protein.
Oh my goodness.
McCormick or whoever makes the mac and cheese. But you can have a higher protein option. One of the supermarkets I shop at, Sprouts, sells sandwiches and all of a sudden, twice the protein. They've just doubled up the amount of meat on it. Or you can have the option to up your protein.
Yes.
And
That's
that's a
certainly
big
one going
soaring.
right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. And then we got fiber maxing. That's going on too. More fiber, more fiber, more fiber.
That's
And
right.
that's
As
easy
long as
to
you have
take
good
advantage of.
restrooms, right?
Yeah. By the
We had an
way,
episode about that.
that's an interesting topic because COVID changed the mindset about porta potties. People are much more focused today, mothers especially, or women, on sanitation and so forth. And I'm seeing a lot of farms actually where they can put in permanent restrooms or bringing in the restroom trailers, which are a step up from porta potties.
Yeah. So that is a trend that you're seeing now and probably at festivals too, I would imagine.
Yes, definitely. You know, your memory of an experience is formed by the peak experience, whether it's good or whether it's bad, and how you felt when you left. And if you have a terrible porta potty experience, that's what you're going to remember about that visit.
That's interesting, but I want to hit that framework one more time. So the memory of the experience is formed by the peak high, the peak low, and how you felt when you left. Did I
Well,
catch that?
it's the peak high or the peak low. It could be the peak can be high or low. This has been studied extensively. It's called the peak end experience. It's the peak, the best thing or the worst thing that happened to you, and how you felt when you left.
Interesting.
And that's your long-term memory.
That is studied. That's not a guess. That's not a trend. That's a studied fact.
Yeah, very well studied. I'll give you an example. I went to a chef's tasting menu, one of these fancy things where there's 12 courses and so forth.
Right.
A couple of interesting things. They always have wine pairings with it. Well, all of a sudden they had non-alcoholic pairings with it, which tells you how important the non-alcoholic trend is. But one of the entrees was pork bites. They were dry and tough. Guess what I remember? All the other foods were incredible. Guess what I remember?
Tough
The dried,
pork.
tough pork.
Yeah.
Yes, out of a whole giant, I'm sure not
Right.
inexpensive chef to
No, not inexpensive.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. And like my wife is a non-drinker, and so, she would just be missing out on, if it's a $200 experience, she'd be missing out on, $75 of it because she's not a drinker unless there were these mocktail options or, non-alcoholic options with it. That's really interesting. Yeah. She's not a zebra stripe. She's just all no stripe. She is straight
Yeah.
no, which, was the first time I asked her out. That was straight no too.
Yeah.
Man. So what do you want people to take away? We're going to get them to your newsletter for ongoing bites, but as you're looking ahead here at 2026, we've got wars, we've got tariffs, we've got high gas prices right now. The only thing I can guarantee you, Randy, is in 30 days something will be different.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's all we can do. When you're looking around the industry, what would be some strategies for 2026? I mean, we're in the disposable income market, right? So any restriction in people's available cash is a restriction in the number of times they're going to go somewhere, right? Or am I?
No, it's no longer about price. It's about value. And people would rather pay a higher price for something that has great value than a lower price for something that has lower value. They only have so much leisure time. And when they do go out, they want it to be good. So you can actually, that they're willing to pay a premium for a great experience. All you got to do is look at what's happening to sports prices for tickets, going to sporting events or concerts, or they're all going up. Disney World admission has gone up over the years faster than inflation because it's a premium experience. So you want to move into that premium category, that high quality category, and they're willing to pay for it.
Right. Yeah, I often think when someone says, I want to keep this affordable for, for XYZ customer, I think, well, they're actually just not your customer, right?
Yeah, you can't be all things to all people. Right. You can't be all things to all people. And by the way, one of the tricks to get higher spend is to have the ability to buy your tickets online ahead of time. Because what happens when they do that, when they come to the farm, that was yesterday's expenditure. They will spend more money on the trip now because their calculator is only adding up what they're spending on the trip versus what they might have spent a week ago to get the ticket. The more and more you move in that direction, the higher the ultimate per capita spending is going to be.
Interesting. Yeah.
That was yesterday's money. That's not today's money.
Well, that's right. And when you roll into Disney World, your whole trip's been paid for.
Yeah, it's all
right?
done.
Right. I mean, they make you pay 30 days before you get there.
Yeah, and you bought the airline ticket, and you probably paid for the hotel. You probably spent $3,000. You're walking in, and you still buy everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the value's there, right? So that's kind of a challenge, I would say, to some of our agritourism listeners, is to just break out of that mindset of I'm a commodity producer. I got to drive down. I got to make sure it's affordable for everybody. When the question we should be asking ourselves is, how do I create a premium product? How do I make sure I have a $10, $12, $15 burger? How do I make sure that when you get that $15 burger, you lose your mind?
You feel like it was worth more.
Because it's crazy amazing.
Yeah.
It's just a shift in that mindset to how do I go more premium. And I almost think at each register, what's my premium at each register? Because I'm thinking about my coffee register, and I don't think I have anything that's more than, maybe $6. And I should probably have a $15, micro torched marshmallow,
high protein something.
High protein hot chocolate, right?
Yeah.
In a commemorative mug.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
The commemorative mug also jacks up the price another $20.
Boom. So you can just get the $15 or $20 hot chocolate. Yeah, but how do you think about, and that's our challenge. I think we need to leave that, Randy, as our challenge. How does an agritourism operator think about that at every register? How do I have at least one more premium? And by premium, not just high priced, but really good. I mean, that's the message I'm getting from you, is it's got to be really good.
Well, yeah, but, on top, we were talking about the transformative experiences. Offer some of those too. Okay, we're going to take you on a tour through the greenhouse. That's $10. Add on.
Right.
You're going to get to pick some herbs. All these things, you can elevate the experience and make it special and memorable, as well as transformative.
We're going to let the kid use the microtorch on their own marshmallows, but we dress them up in a giant space hazmat heat shield first, and then they get to microtorch their own stuff.
It'll cover the increase in insurance costs.
That's right. That's right. Well, Randy, this is awesome, and thanks so much for taking the time. I think people are going to hopefully plug into this and get a lot of value in just rethinking where these trends are. And maybe, even to myself, I'm thinking maybe this is a little more attainable than I thought. Maybe I really can do some of this stuff that I've just been, I have been not my own client, right? I haven't been thinking like my client along the way.
And instead of spending $100,000 on a new attraction, take that energy and take that money and focus on things you're already doing that you can elevate.
I like that. Randy White from White Hutchinson. And we're going to have the link down below where you can get onto his newsletter. It is one I don't skip. So I can recommend that. And if you get a chance to see Randy at a convention somewhere, if he ends up on that program, try to sneak in there. We like this guy. I've been paying attention, Randy. I've been paying attention.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
It's been great.
Randy.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been great.
Thanks for listening to Positive Business Action. If this episode gave you a useful idea, take a second to follow the show, leave a quick rating, or share it with someone who could use it too. That's what helps this show reach more people who are building something meaningful. You can find links to full episodes, resources, and ways to connect with us in the show notes. Until next time, keep moving forward, keep improving, and keep taking positive business actions.